Okay, I guess I'm recording now. Um, Today I'm going to take raw materials that I got here, mostly leftover scrap, and a few new materials we bought, some angle irons, not angle irons, what do you call these? Corner braces, L braces, and some casters, locking casters. And I'm going to build a very small server rack. So, again, this is just leftover wood from an old woodworking project. So I've got a bunch of 2x4s here that are about, actually they're exactly 2 feet each. These were legs for a table, an old train table that we disassembled a while ago. You can see a lot of the leftover pieces went back there. And so I have been looking for something to use these pieces on, and this project kind of seems perfect. It's not exactly the dimensions I want, but it'll work. So it's going to basically be a 2-foot cube, 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, and once that's built and the casters are on, I'm going to put some plywood. So I got some thin Luan, 1/8-inch Luan plywood, or 1/4-inch Luan plywood that I'm going to attach to the sides, and then probably put some scrap plywood on top and on the bottom of it, and then be able to store some servers in there. It'll basically be for a home server storage unit. And once I've got that done, it's all built, I'm going to probably cut some holes in the side and mount a series of case fans. I've got some 120 millimeter case fans, and probably wire those up to some sort of power supply, or I might end up getting some kind of switch so I can control the fans kind of remotely at the top of it, and then mount a power strip on back, and probably a switch, an Ethernet switch, so that basically once this is done, it'll be sort of a mobile cart that we can keep our file server in, and I'm thinking of building a RAID array at some point, just to kind of mess with it. Pretty much any other server that I put together, if I put together a web server or whatever, I want to have it all in a nice portable, kind of self-contained unit that we can wheel around to whatever location we want, plug it in, and as long as we've got an Ethernet drop or maybe a wireless access point, if nothing else, make it available on the network to whatever other machines need to use it. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to kind of get started here. I guess you would say fair warning, I'm absolutely an amateur carpenter here. I have no professional experience whatsoever, and probably because of that, everything I'm doing is wrong. So this is probably the wrong way to use tools, the wrong way to build things. So if you're watching this, the disclaimer is that this is for entertainment purposes only, and don't do what I'm doing. Don't try to emulate this. Yeah. So that being said, I'm going to get started. I like to, whenever I'm doing a woodworking project like this, I like to have 2 different drills. One that I've got a 1/8-inch countersink drill bit in, so that I can pre-drill holes and countersink, so that when I attach screws into the hole, the screw head is flush with the surface of whatever I'm, attaching it to. And then the other one, the one I'm plugging in now, is just it's just a screwdriver. I've got one of these quick release bit extensions on it, so that I can put a Phillips head or a flat head or whatever, Torx head, whatever I need to work with. And so I've right now just got Phillips head screwdriver in there, and that's what I'm working with, Phillips head. So here we go. Yeah, because of the size of this, these little angle irons I'm using here, not angle irons, they are I can't draw a blank on it now. They're L braces, L brackets. So basically, it's just a very small piece of metal, about 1/2 inch in width and about 1.5 to 2 inches on each side, L-shaped, and then they've got 2 holes in it. So instead of trying to put the wood right onto the wood and having to use like probably 3-inch screws, instead I'll be able to just use these L brackets right in the center, pre-drill the holes, and then connect them using these tiny screws that came with them, and that should work. So we'll see. Here we go. I'm just pre-drilling these so that it stays a lot easier when I'm trying to attach them. I'm not really worried about countersinking these, but I also am too lazy to switch out the bit or to get a third screwdriver with a non-countersink drill bit. So all I end up really doing is not drilling as far if I were wanting to countersink the screw head. Okay, so there's the first one. It's going to be basically this sort of thing here. And again, I'm not really worried about squaring things up, just because I'm lazy. So hopefully these L brackets will be square enough. They look like they're pretty close to 90 degrees, most of them, and yeah, I'll go with that. Every time I do a woodworking project, I end up getting like 10 splinters. I spend half the time in the bathroom trying to clean out wounds and bandage them up. But again, that's probably why software guys shouldn't do hardware, as I've said all along. Okay, let's get the next one going here. Yep. That one is just slightly off. So I got to figure out how I'm going to make that adjustment now. And I might end up using a slightly now, you know what? I'll put the other one on once it's attached and squared up, then I'll probably put the other one in. No, actually, what I'm going to do, whoops, is move it slightly to the side and drill a fresh set of holes. Again, it's really just bracing to connect it, so once it's all together in one piece, hopefully there won't be a stability or a structural problem. Much better. Okay. This is my first attempt to create video content for my channel. I'm actually just a big fan of, really all kinds of YouTube videos. I watch a lot of podcasts, but I also watch a lot of DIY videos. DIY and bushcraft and really all kinds of construction videos are interesting to me. And I'm really impressed with and fascinated by, I guess, people who are amateurs that take the time and just kind of do things. They don't have expertise. They don't claim to have expertise. They learn as they go. They make mistakes and they share it with the audience. And I find that process fascinating and inspiring. So really just trying to kind of dip my toe into the shallow end of the pool of trying those kinds of videos and seeing if there's any sort of interest or what kind of response I get. So when this is done, if you like the video, leave a comment saying you like it. And if there's suggestions for other things that you'd like to see, Software Guy tries to do other sorts of hardware projects and other humorous content. Let me know. Drop a comment in there too. a pretty common theme. Well, you know what? Pretty common theme in my woodworking projects is that I have a tendency to not cut anything straight. Never quite get anything at exactly 90 degrees. Well, not even so much at 90 degrees or perpendicular, but between the wood being warped and me not making straight cuts, when I try to repurpose lumber from a prior project, I almost always run into a situation where there's a gap, which I don't know, let's see here. There's a gap right there, like about a 1/4 inch gap. It's relatively flush on this side and relatively flush in this corner. If I rotate it, I get the same thing. So really, it's not even so much of a cut problem. It's that this is warped or not square or something. So what I'm going to do is, what I do on a lot of projects like this, I'm going to attach the side that looks good, and then I'm going to cheat the other side by attaching the bottom and then bending the side to match it once this is secure. And so as long as there's enough pressure on it, it should eventually bend this piece, hopefully bend this piece into the correct shape, the square shape relative to the rest of the frame. Okay, drill time. Nope, not drill time. Alright, well, absolutely nothing is square or true. Just lost my pencil. And the top, or actually probably bottom, is, for all intents and purposes, done. Basically just made a square frame. So, next thing is going to attach what will become the legs to it. No, I lied, I'm not going to do that next. The next thing I'm going to do is build another, let's see, do I want to build this next or another identical frame? I'm going to build this next just because I don't trust how anything is going to be square or not here. And, oh wow. The thing I've learned about woodworking is that even the smallest error in cutting in an angle or whatever is amplified. It's amplified every time you attach that to something else. So the farther and farther you go, if you've got little errors, they add up into big errors. And then, half the time, by the time you're done, nothing's true, nothing's square, everything looks funky. Probably professional carpenters know how to make everything perfect the first time. They probably cut everything perfectly square. Of course, they have all the best tools, and they've got a big woodworking shop. And they're not just some programmer sitting around in his basement hacking things together with leftover parts. But if you are that person like me, you learn to kind of deal with the fact that things are just not perfect. So you make do with what you got. Okay, let's see. Yeah, probably go this route. Just kind of knock it up a little bit and see what it's going to look like. Probably make that work. what do I want to do next? Um, Clearly I have not planned anything out and I'm just kind of winging it as I go here, which is not the recommended approach. However, my thinking was, well, I'm building a box. I'm building a wireframe out of 2x4s, and then I'm attaching some cladding to the side of it. So how tough can it be? Famous last words. Okay, let's see. Go with. Let's see about attaching something here. And let's use angle braces to do it. So let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 12. Should have 12 more. Yeah. Okay, so we can do this. One, I guess you would say, advantage of using these angle braces is that if I had, let's say, tried to attach this without using an angle brace, I'd have to go through the entire length, let's say, of a 2x4 to bite into this leg. So you're talking about. Well, it's not exactly 2 inches. It's 3.5 inches, plus however much you'd have to bite in. So let's say 4.5, 5-inch screw probably I'd have to use to go through it, or I'd have to use one of those. I'm sure you've seen one of those jigs that lets you do angled pocket screws, basically. But I don't have one of those, so. In the absence of that, I'd have to orient the leg differently. I'd have to orient it, instead of being up here, it would have to be down here. And then I could use a 3-inch screw to connect it. But if I do that, I'm losing 4 inches off the height. These are the legs. So I'm losing 4 inches off the height of the cube, which already is pretty short and squat, considering these are 24-inch pieces of 2x4. So by using these angle brackets, I've got much easier, I'm working with much smaller screws, little 1-inch screws here, and I'm just putting 4 screws in per. It's real easy to pre-drill them and connect them, and then I'm not losing any height whatsoever. So the structure's kind of staying in place the way it is, but I'm not losing anything off it. So it's I think pretty cool way to. Utilize the pieces that I have. Obviously, if I had different pieces, I would probably use a different design. But at this point, I'm basically working with what I got, trying to use up old spare parts laying around, spare lumber, spare hardware and things. With angle brackets on both sides, it's pretty sturdy. And that's all I'm looking for. Again, none of this will be exposed once I put all the plywood cladding on it. You're not even going to see it. So this structure really is just for, stability, structural integrity, to provide an inner framework that everything else is going to either sit on, be attached to, or sit within. The surface will sit within. So again, it doesn't have to be pretty; it just has to be functional. So far, it is. Exactly that. Not pretty at all, but looks pretty functional. Seems pretty functional. As I said this in my first video, I can see that maintaining an awareness of where the camera is and where I am relative to that is very important, so that the viewer can actually see what's going on. With any luck, over time I will get better with this. Or, you know, maybe it'll be so bad that everybody will tell me, look, you should stick to software. In which case I won't do any more videos. I wonder how my battery's doing here. Well, still not gone. That's interesting. Why does it say it's only 3 minutes, 11 seconds recorded? Huh. I'm gonna check something real quick. Okay, so this is also a new camera, and it looks like it records video in 13-minute segments. Not sure why. Haven't read the instruction manual. My wife did. She always reads the instruction manual. So I'll have to ask her when she gets home why it's recording in 13-minute blocks and then automatically creating a new one. It may have something to do with file size, I'm not sure. Also, I don't know how much longer this battery is going to last, so we will see. At some point I'll probably have to swap out for the other battery. Hopefully that's charged. Anyway, I'm going to keep at it. I'm only attaching the outer screws here first, so that I've got a little bit of wiggle room, so I can move this just where it needs to be to position the other one, and then I'll pre-drill the holes, connect this one, and then I'll come back and connect these two last once it's all trued up as close as it can be to true. Okay, had to take a quick dinner break there and change the battery in the camera. Let's see, where's that? Oh, back to attaching the third leg. Here we go. I've reached the inevitable point on a project where absolutely nothing cooperates. Okay. This is basically the frame. Let me set it up and see how it looks. Of course, nothing's quite square. That's about what I expected. But the good news is that the bottom of it is relatively square. First splinter. Be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Yep. First injury. Well, at least I got 2/3 of the way done with the project. Well, halfway done with the project before I hurt myself for the first time. That's a pretty successful project. Okay, so where are we at? We've got the we've got basically the legs built now. The legs built and the bottom frame built. so we're ready to build the top. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to continue the same general approach of adding just a piece at a time instead of building out another square frame. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's what I'm going to do. Think about that. Well, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe it'll be easier to just build the top here and then attach it all. In fact, I think I might do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do for the moment is set this whole frame aside and now build out another square in the exact same layout as what will be the bottom, which will then become the top, or vice versa. I'll have to see. This might be the bottom since this is all flush and square for the caster, and this might become the top. Okay, so let's do it. I haven't really been narrating this. It should be fairly obvious, I think, what I'm doing, which is just taking these L brackets with the screw holes, positioning them where I want them to be, and then drawing circles on the inside of it, tracing it onto the pieces that I'm going to attach it to, and I'm doing that ahead of time so that I can take it all apart, and I can pre-drill all the holes, and then it should be a matter of just holding the L brackets in place while I put all the screws in to connect it. So that's the plan at least. Okay, so just pre-drill them all now. Just taking a regular screwdriver, Phillips head, and kind of attaching, just kind of tacking each side into place before I tighten everything down, just again to make sure there's enough wiggle room so that I can connect everything into the pilot holes that I pre-drilled. This side looks alright, so I'm going to tack this one down. And this other one is off quite a bit, so I'm actually going to take that brace off completely and redo all four. Just move it just to the side of where the previous set of holes were drilled. Kind of reposition it, the frame where it ought to be, and then remark pilot holes where they ought to be. And again, what I'm seeing is that these 2x4s are just warped, just straight up twisted, and so of course it's impossible to get it square. You just do the best you can, get as close as you can, frame that should match the first one. What I'm going to do here is put the other one back up. This again should be the bottom. And of course, 2x4s don't seem that heavy individually. Well, they do if you're talking about 8-foot sections, but little 2-foot sections aren't that heavy. Put, 8 of them together here, and I'm about to put 4 more on. 12 2-foot sections to 2x4. All of a sudden it gets heavy and a little bit unwieldy. So yeah, it's going to be a cart, and it's hopefully these casters. I didn't check the weight rating on the casters, but hopefully they can support it. I think they can. They look pretty sturdy. Yeah, and then of course it's going to have servers sitting on it. So wait. I think I mentioned before that. At this point, I'm not really concerned about this. Rotate 90. Here we go. I'm not really concerned about this thing being pretty. I just want it to be structurally sound, strong, sturdy. And I think I've achieved that because it is not pretty at all. Pretty ugly, in fact. But it's going to be, I think, fairly sturdy, which is really all that matters. Okay. I think I'm going to, how best to do this. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got to use the little ones because I don't have enough. Oh no, I can use these big ones. That'll work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I have to use one little one. Okay, and that's just about all of my L brackets. That's good. That's good. It'll be great, actually. Okay, so again, at this point, because everything is so far out of true, I'm basically just going to do one leg at a time, position it as best I can right on the corner. I don't know if you can see it. Match the corner, the exterior corner of the leg with the exterior corner of the top frame, and then I'll put the L brackets on the middle too, on the inside to connect it. And I'll do that one leg at a time. So each one that I do, I'll bend it as necessary in place, so that the corners all match up. Yeah, I'm realizing this is incredibly unstable the way I've got it. So move everything out of the way, and then I'm going to take that off to the side and turn this whole thing on its side, like this, and then work on one leg at a time. Let's see if rotating at 80 gives me a little bit better of a fit. Boy, it's just nothing's quite true. Nothing's quite straight. Everything's sort of worked. But that's okay. I'm a little warped too, so no biggie. For better or worse, we've got one corner connected. Let's connect the opposite corner first. Yep, things get big, especially 2x4s. start to get very heavy, very unwieldy. So that's connected. This one's will connect next. Hmm.